Welcome into Payoff Pitch, Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast presented by BetMGM. It is Tuesday, May 7th. Brendan Glasheen, joined by Sean Zerillo and Anthony DeBundo for Tuesday Best Bets. You can hear Best Bets every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday during the baseball season. So subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts and find us on the Action Network YouTube page as well. We've got another giveaway. Gave out a couple winners yesterday. If you are Klubnik Season, SZN, and then KLUBNIK, Season, not like the actual full word. If you spelt it, because who knows, someone else may have done this. SZN, you are a winner. Email podcasts@actionnetwork.com to claim your prize. We will continue with giveaways. So if you haven't left us a 5-star rating and or review, go do that for a chance to win a free 1-year subscription to Action Pro or some sort of Action swag. So congratulations and keep those coming. We're in a giving mood as we enter the month of May here on Payoff Pitch. Full slate today. Zerillo's back. He's got opening pitch up at actionnetwork.com. All right, Sean, larger slate. So how'd you come to decide on a best bet for today?
Phillies were just my biggest edge for today's slate, and I think Jose Barrios, a pitcher who showing a declining strikeout rate, and we've discussed in the past couple weeks or so now that we have 6, 7, 8 starts worth of a sample for a lot of these starting pitchers, strikeout rate is the data point that stabilizes a bit more quickly than everything else. And Jose Barrios showing the second worst strikeout rate of his career. Now, he's always a guy who's shown worse splits on the road than he has at home. That's kind of fixed itself over the past couple of years, but he's been very lucky this season. He has a 1.44 ERA. Is that correct? Wow, it's that low. But a 4.9 expected ERA and a 4.2 expected FIP. And that expected FIP is more in line with his career averages. But the 4.9 expected ERA, very reflective of the fact that I said that strikeout rate has absolutely plummeted. And the swinging strike rate also down to sort of justifying the decline in strikeout rate. And his strikeout minus walk rate in the same respect has now dipped below the major league average, which is closer to 14%. Barrios sitting at 10.7%. So low batting average on balls in play, really high strand rate, stranding 97% of runners this season. Those should both move towards the major league averages, closer to 290 and 70% roughly, respectively. Barrios a little bit above the major league average there at 74%. But if he's not going to be striking out as many guys, he's probably going to be closer to that league average because strikeouts help get guys above the league average or to beat the league average in terms of strand rate, just because that is how you strand runners. If the runner on third, one out, that's how you strand him, is with the strikeout. So certain pitchers can carry high strand rates throughout their career. Justin Verlander has a strand rate, I believe, closer to like 77%, which is well above the major league average, during the time that he's been in the big leagues. But most guys tend to regress towards that league average mark, and especially if you're not going to have a particularly high strikeout rate. The other things I want to mention, Christopher Sanchez, an Action Network favorite. This is a guy who's had an expected ERA and an expected FIP between 3.4 and 3.7 over the past couple of seasons. So I think the betting market is still just kind of missing how effective this guy is. And then lastly, the Phillies have the bullpen advantage here too. They have one of the best bullpens in baseball, top 7, or they rank 7th across the board in expected FIP, strikeout minus walk rate, and stuff plus this season. The Jays, a bottom 5 bullpen for those underlying indicators, closer to league average in terms of stuff plus. But either way, I give the Phillies the pitching advantage throughout this matchup. I like them about to minus 130 in their half.
Must be nice to Bundo how the Phillies are playing a bunch of lambs here in the first month of the year.
I mean, there's been a lot of scheduled discourse. There's only 5 teams in the National League with a winning record, one of them being the Phillies. So yeah, they have played a friendlier schedule, but they're beating up on the Reds and the Padres and the Giants, teams who are, expected to be in the wild card mix. So they're taking care of biz. Best record in baseball. Very exciting. Really interesting question is, with Trey Turner going out, Real Muto is going to have to sit at some point. Might be today, might be tomorrow. Who hit second? I think it might be Whit Merrifield, who batted second for the Phillies. So a little revenge series for Whit against the Jays. I agree with Zerillo. I'm going to end up betting the Phillies today. Probably going to wait to see what the status of Real Muto is, because if he's out, the market will move toward Toronto, and I would still bet the Phillies, even with Stubbs in. So I agree with Zerillo on that. My best bet, the market has moved against me. I bet over 9 at even money last night on Arizona Cincinnati. It's down to 8.5, minus 110. So some clear market disagreement on that game. with the bet that I made, but I'm fine betting at 8.5 and still would bet it at 9 even money. You know, we've talked about Zach Allen a lot on this show. We've probably been wrong going against him more than we've been right, but I'm still convinced that this is not the same guy right now. And if you look at his entire metrics, there's a few stats that kind of stick out. If you just look at the baseline strikeout minus walk rate, right around the same. Walk rate's a little elevated. If you look at his xERA, right around the same. So you'd say, hey, like, you know, Gallen's been fine, but his zone rate is down 8% from last year. His first pitch strike rate is down 20%. And the amount of whiffs he's getting in the zone has dropped by 6%. So when people swing at his pitches in the zone, they hit them, and they're hitting them hard. He's giving up a lot more hard contact this year because he's behind in counts. And I think, Zerillo and I have talked about this a lot. He doesn't have overpowering stuff. He kind of relies on having a lot of pitches and getting by that way. But when you're behind in counts so much because you can't locate the fastball early in the counts, it gets a lot harder to get consistent outs. And I think he might have problems tonight in Great American Ballpark. And Frankie Montas, really great first couple outings. Is he hurt? I mean, what's going on with Frankie? Because the last couple starts have been really ugly. His strikeout rate, 6.5 per 9 innings, walk rate close to 5 per 9. The peripherals on Frankie are really, really bad as a whole. And he's running a really good BABIP to maintain decent numbers in terms of ERA, low 4s. But the way he's pitching, I mean, he's really not serviceable as a starter. And I know Arizona's offense has had major problems. Corbin Carroll doesn't look healthy and all that hand-wringing that's happened there. But these two starting pitchers in this ballpark, given how they're pitching right now, really shouldn't be lying below 9. So I like the over Arizona and Cincinnati tonight in that one. So hopefully the ball's flying at Great American.
Yeah, I just want to co-sign that. I made this total closer to 9.5. So also like the over, now that it's dipped down to 8.5, I bet some 9 at plus money last night as well. Gallen, I think a lot of the lower zone rate and the strikeout rate maintaining itself, I just think he's been the beneficiary of a number of calls from umpires. He is that veteran now and finished in the top 3 for Cy Young last season. So he's getting that veteran respect from these umpires, but a lot of these pitches are not in the zone and he's getting those calls. So he's going to run into a hitter-friendly umpire at some point. And I think he's going to walk a lot of batters because he is nibbling on pitches outside of the zone and getting calls right now. And then just on the other side of the matchup with Montas, yeah, he went on the IL with shoulder inflammation or discomfort. But the velocity before he went on the IL had dipped by about 2 miles an hour relative to the start of the season. He was throwing previously closer to 95 miles an hour in prior seasons. And in his first start of the season and in spring training, it looked like the stuff had been back, but the velocity dipped right before he went on the IL and didn't have a rehab start or rehab stint before he's coming back. So don't really know what to expect from Montas. And I think he has very high implosion potential for the start today. He could come out and just give up 6 runs in the first inning if he's not healthy. And it doesn't give me much confidence that he is healthy considering the way he went down and is now coming back. This is a guy who's on a 1-year deal with a team option. Like he needs to be on the mound if he wants to get that team option picked up, or he needs to be on the mound if he wants to get another contract from another team. So I'm sure he's doing whatever he can to try to pitch through injury or soreness or whatever. But yeah, I think the floor for Frankie Montas is very low right now.
Okay, those are your best bets from Sean and DeBundo. Let's go to Fade the Public. Dodgers Marlins tonight. Shohei Ohtani. He's red hot, huh? 97% of the bets, 99% of the cash on the Dodgers tonight against those lowly Marlins. And I feel like, Zerillo, it's what we're looking for as far as an underdog with a price against the Dodgers. We're finally into the month of May, and a price jumps out to you. You like Miami. Why?
Yeah, I made this line closer to plus 240. I would consider betting them at about.
You like Miami at the price. Let me be very clear.
Yeah, it's the price, of course. But also Edward Cabrera is showing some improvement this season. Finally, maybe not in the underlying pitch modeling metrics or command metrics, but strikeout minus walk rate up significantly this season, and it seems like he has potentially made the leap into being a full-fledged major league starting pitcher. So I kind of like them because of that, but at the same time, like the Marlins could start trading pieces off of this roster on any given day. I mean, the Luis Arias trade kind of caught me by surprise the other night. Josh Bell could go at any moment. There's other pieces on this roster, Tanner Scott, who could basically get dealt at any moment. Maybe both of them ended up in San Diego with how aggressive Preller is, but Yeah, there's teams out there that need these pieces or going to need these pieces at some point, and probably worth it to maybe jump in May instead of waiting for July to see what you need. And maybe you get a deal, from a team for like the Marlins and just get a little bit ahead of the competition in terms of making the trade. So, all of that said, like, what do the Marlins have to play for motivationally? They're already trading main guys off of this roster. It has to be difficult to get up and go to the ballpark knowing your season is already over on May 7th. I don't think I've ever seen a team wave the white flag this early, but yeah, Cabrera showing improvement this season, and Yamamoto still kind of figuring it out at the major league level. He's tried to get by with his fastball out low in the zone, and it's absolutely getting pounded. When he elevates it above the hands, he's having much more success with the pitch. So not traditionally a Dodgers, or in recent years, not really the way the Dodgers attack hitters north and south. They prefer the east-west style, and they prefer those fastballs a bit lower in the zone. They like the sinkers. They like batters pounding those into the ground. Yamamoto may need to take a little bit of a different approach and try to go higher with those fastballs, and then lower in the zone or below the zone with this splitter, and go more with the north to south attack. And I just think coming over from Japan, the hitters weren't able to square up that fastball. Now they're squaring it up a little bit, and the hitters are a little bit better here. So yeah, I still think Yamamoto is elite, and you look at the underlying metrics, and he's trending towards that elite level. I just don't think he's fully optimized his pitch selection and pitch location yet, but he will get there. And quite the field of National League rookie pitchers we have with Yamamoto and Jared Jones and Shota Imanaga, and we'll get Paul Skeens soon. So the NL Rookie of the Year race just absolutely loaded with explosive power pitching arms.
Let's see, Shota's the favorite, and Jones is right in there next. Yamamoto plus 400 for NL Rookie of the Year.
And Skeens might be up this weekend. So as well as he's going to pitch, it's going to be tough for him to close down like a 1-win gap relative to these pitchers already.
It's impossible with Jones pitching the way he is on his own team and already having like a month head start.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. And they're contending, right? I mean, they're start. Well, they've came back down to earth. There's no doubt about that. But
the offense is not taking the leap that I'd hoped.
Okay, Dabundo.
Ryan Hayes' breakout season will be pushed to next year.
So Dabundo, you're not picking a side. There's no Dodger play for you, but there is a play on Cabrera that you do see fit.
Yeah, I'm willing to go against Cabrera in the walk market again. He has thrown more first pitch strikes. He's in the zone more. The command has definitely been better. But I mean, we've seen this from Edward Cabrera before. I'm going to happily say that a lineup that's going to throw 6 guys out there with double-digit walk rates tonight, a very patient, very effective lineup at drawing walks. Muncy, Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Smith, Outman, all double-digit projected walk rates this year. I think they're going to draw at least 3 walks on Cabrera, even if Cabrera pitches well. It could be a classic like 6K, 4 walk, 2 hit, 5 inning, 1 or 2 runs where he's like striking guys out to get out of a jam outing for Cabrera. But I do think he will walk guys tonight. So over 2.5 walks, minus 133 at one book. I played some this morning, and it's a really fun prop to sweat. And hopefully we get a good umpire for it as well.
Worth noting, he's been a guy with reverse splits throughout his career. He has that really big breaking ball. Just been a bit better against lefties than righties, which is kind of odd. But the Dodgers are more left-handed heavy in that lineup, as with all the bats you just mentioned. So just an interesting quirk about his profile. We'll see if that evens out over the course of his career. But yeah, thus far, Cabrera actually has slight reverse splits, which took me a little bit by surprise.
So he's saying Shohei Ohtani under bases is lock.
Shohei Ohtani to walk. I think that's probably the move there. I wouldn't want to pitch him at this point.
And the total is still at 7.5 as of this morning. So
yeah, I lean over. I made that closer to 7.9. Just want to season the lineups, and I do like both these pitchers. Probably a little bit more than the market. So I don't know. Maybe want to see who the umpire is as well. I didn't look into the umpire for today.
Dodgers now no Evan Phillips too. He went on the IL. That's a big loss because their bullpen's not very deep. So
trying to pitch back-to-back days, yeah.
Yeah, they've just got like 7 starting pitchers. So
Walker Buehler looked okay. The stuff looked good, but then he got rocked. So it's tough to say what to draw from that. But for a start back, we'll have to keep tabs on Buehler. I mean, he's like the 4th guy at this point. So
tough. Let's go to the underdogs Brewers. Oh, Zerillo. The Brewers were right there last night against Kansas City. You like them again today, though?
I do, and it's really the same handicap. They just should
Yeah.
have a late inning pitching advantage, and obviously they blew it yesterday. So great, the handicap is awesome until it's not. And they won the first 5 innings, and Bryce Wilson was electric, and Bryce Wilson looks really good. I don't know what's going on with the Brewers pitching development or how they're able to optimize these guys, but Bryce Wilson is turning into a dude. And like I said, it's the same handicap as yesterday. I actually make the bullpens a little bit closer than they were yesterday. So yesterday I said there's about a 0.9 run differential gap on an ERA projection between the two bullpens as I had them projected yesterday. Today it's closer to 0.7. So it's a slightly less of a big advantage for the Brewers, but I still make them closer to even money in this matchup. So anything plus 110 or better would be a bet for me on Milwaukee. And I had another point I was going to make on this game, but it's totally slipped my mind. We also don't have stuff plus figures for Walker Buehler yet, so I'm curious to see where those come out. We'll analyze that before next week. But yeah, Milwaukee. I didn't love the pitcher selection in the the 7th inning, or that they blew it, or the 6th inning. They went with Koenig ahead of Milner, and this is one of those things with performance and projections, and Milner projects as the better lefty. But Koenig has pitched better this year for them, and maybe Pat Murphy, felt more trust in the guy with better numbers on the season. But as soon as I saw Koenig in the game, I was like, oh, here we go. Pick the wrong arm. They're going to blow it. Walk away from my computer for a second. It's an 0-2 count. Nobody out. Come back. I'm like, why is there a new guy up at the plate and there's nobody out? Oh, it's 2-1 on the scoreboard. And sure enough, within 5 minutes, the game was won. So, sometimes you just pick the wrong arm to come out of the bullpen. Sometimes one guy doesn't have it and can implode the whole game. But across the average group of relievers, they should have a pretty big bullpen advantage here if they select the right guys and if those guys actually pitch up to expectations. I just thought it was funny to see Koenig in first, and then he wasn't pitching well, and then Hobie Milner ended up coming in the same inning. It's
right.
just start the inning with Milner. So, yeah, a little frustrating, but still a rookie manager, still figuring out his team, and we'll see if this Brewers bullpen can make its way to the end of the season. It's going to be a lot of stress and a lot of high leverage, high pressure innings and low scoring games for this team. So we'll see if these arms hold up. They really need Devin Williams back at some point, and back injury is going to be difficult to heal up from.
The Royals used 4 relievers last night. They got Seth Lugo pitching, who's gone 7 strong in his last 2 starts. Any thought on Lugo as the starter for Kansas City?
No, about, where he's projected to be in the low 4s, league average type arm. Prefer him to Colin Ray by about a half a run. So a similar starting pitching advantage to what they had yesterday. Probably projected a bigger gap between Reagans and Bryce Wilson than I do between Lugo and Colin Ray. So no, the line reflects that, right? I bet Milwaukee at plus 130 yesterday, betting them at plus 110 today. So it's all sort of baked into the line. Yeah, this matchup for me really just comes down to their bullpen advantage in the late innings and expecting them to win a tight game, which they did not do last night. So hopefully they're able to do one tonight, and we'll see if we're on them again for a 3rd straight day tomorrow.
Seth Lugo notoriously shoved against Sean Zerillo's fantasy team last week in my victory against Zerillo in our action league. So I just wanted to throw that out there as a victory lap.
Everybody's victory lapping on me this season, so you're not the only one. Team is absolutely awful. I got to make some trades.
And speaking of the Brewers, there was a wildly hilarious story we saw highlighted by a terrific Brewers podcast, the Brew Crew Scoop, back on June 12th, 1977. Both teams wore Brewers across their chest as the Kansas City Royals took the field against the Brewers in Milwaukee in their road uniforms in Kansas City in their road uniforms after their uniforms were stolen from the clubhouse. According to MLB.com, 53 of Kansas City's 60 jerseys, along with 20 gloves, 10 pairs of cleats, and 15 warm-up jackets were stolen. So that's the history here between the Brewers and the Royals.
Somebody on Twitter would complain about and say that the Brewers actually won the game and their bet should cash because the team wore Brewers across the front, regardless of who won the game.
Well, and we all also know the conversation in 2024 about uniforms and their construct has been widely discussed.
Yeah, we haven't even seen the uniforms in the summer heat yet. Wait till these guys start sweating through these pieces of paper that they're wearing. This thing's gonna get real ugly.
Phil's Giants played in the rain Saturday, and it was rough, real rough.
Oh boy, that's an image. We were doing imagery on Monday, Debundo, with BJ's basement. Now we're gonna be that's an image to think about when we
give me back Bartolo Colon for a hot, sweaty summer.
Oh,
These tight Nike Fanatic see-through uniforms
with the pitch clock. Oh boy. All right.
Bartolo would be immaculate with the pitch clock.
Favorite underdog, Debundo. What do you have?
We're shipping up to Boston, plus 155. I mean, everything comes up Boston in sports these days. You got the Celtics and cruise into the East. The Bruins are pulling upsets and winning game sevens. And the best pitching staff in the American League, the Cutter Crawford-led Boston Red Sox. I mean, I kind of wonder how long this is going to last. They have played an easier than average schedule. But I like Boston plus 155 against an Atlanta team that I'm still a little just kind of wondering about this pitching staff and like how good is it really and how hard is it going to be for them to continue to outslug their pitching problems, because they've obviously got an elite offense on paper and they did last year, but they have not hit to that level, to that same historic level this year. And, they are a notoriously dominant team against fastballs, but Cutter Crawford isn't really throwing a ton of fastballs anymore. Cutters in on lefties and sweepers away from righties have been dominant, and he's been elite with both pitches. And I think it's very sustainable, and I think the market continues to underrate him. It's been the case for pretty much the last year and a half since, we liked him at midway through last season. Mm-hmm. And everything in his profile this year suggests he can continue it. Do I think he'll continue to have a 0.2 home run per 9? No. But, his underlying metrics, xERA 2.93, FIP 2.5, xFIP 3.8. So you average that all together, he's like a 3 ERA pitcher. And he doesn't overpower you, but he has deception, and I think it's really effective. So, Ray Lopez, good pitcher, but I think Boston at plus 155 is starting to get too high, and I like the Red Sox to steal game 1 in Atlanta.
It's the Andrew Bailey effect, which I think Nick Pivetta is supposed to pitch tomorrow against Chris Sale. So Pivetta will be coming back off the injured list, but you're right. I just hope that these guys stay healthy, and that's been something to keep an eye on here. Bayo hurt, Pivetta hurt, so something to. I'm happy how they're throwing off speed stuff. It's working, but you think it's sustainable? I hope you're right for a full year.
I don't think it's sustainable as the best pitching staff in the American League, but I think they're clearly a good unit that will continue to pitch at a top 3 or 4 level in the American League. I guess Seattle's probably past them now. I haven't looked at the numbers, but Boston, Seattle, Minnesota, I think will figure it out. And then Baltimore, if they can keep all their guys healthy at the same time, which they haven't been able to do so far. So kind of a interesting mix of squads.
Okay, let's move on to a couple more. And then we've got Dinger Tuesday pick from Debundo coming up shortly. Zerillo, you have a few more final bets you want to give out.
Yeah, Giants first 5. I actually like Kyle Harrison going to Colorado. You wouldn't think with the fly ball rate that would necessarily be a great fit, but he also should have better command over his arsenal than you would typically expect from these guys who are slider oriented or slider heavy going to Colorado, where sometimes they don't have command over the pitch. I would expect Harrison to have a bit more command over fastball changeup combo, which he throws like 90% of the time combined, than going to a breaking ball more regularly. And he's facing Dakota Hudson, who since the start of the 2021 season, there have been 235 pitchers who have thrown at least 100 innings, starting pitchers. Hudson ranks last among that group of 235 pitchers with a 2.7% strikeout minus walk rate. So when I talk about replacement level arms, these guys with metrics, expected indicators north of 5 in the low 4s or in the high 4s, low 5s, that's what I mean with Dakota Hudson and being replacement level, literally as close to 0 as you can get, and the lowest over the past 3 seasons. Pick any arm from the minor leagues, they can probably approximate the performance he's done. So the Giants in the first 5 innings up to about minus 150. The Pirates, I think this line has moved up closer to where I want it, minus 125, minus 130. But just very similar to my handicap yesterday in the Pirates, where I've upgraded the Angels starting pitcher, downgraded the Pirates starting pitcher, and I still show value on Pittsburgh in this matchup. I just think the Angels continue to be a little bit overrated in the betting markets after losing Mike Trout. He should downgrade their line by 15 to 20 cents on a daily basis. And I don't think it's necessarily gotten all the way there. This team is really bad defensively, like really, really, really bad defensively and on the base pass without him. So not that he was a good defender, just the replacements they have to put in, it makes them even worse in terms of those areas. So upgraded Sandoval, as I said, his 2023 season is basically a clear outlier. Strikeout rate has bounced back. Strikeout minus walk rate has bounced back. And Quinn Priester, not only have we not really seen it from him at the major league level, but the stuff plus numbers don't really show a ton of upside in his profile. So not really sure what Quinn Priester is ultimately. I'm sure once Skeens gets up here, Bubba Chandler gets up to the major leagues for the Pirates, that will be, their elite level arms. We'll see where Priester ends up fitting in to that rotational mix behind Jones and Skeens and Keller and Chandler. And then lastly, the Cubs under 8.5. Shota Imanaga has gotten a number of starts this season already where the wind has been favorable for him, blowing in Wrigley Field. Today is the first one where it's going away from him. 8 miles an hour blowing out, 74 degrees at first pitch. So we'll see how the wind and weather ultimately impacts him. But he's been great. 2.76 expected ERA. He's been lucky, but he's been great. 220 batting average on balls in play. Very lucky strand rate as well. But that said, like the underlying indicators still put him with the upper level of starting pitchers, the number ones, the number twos. So I think as the league sees him a second time through, sees him a third time going into next season, there may be a little bit of an adjustment. Maybe teams are able to square him up as they see him for a second time. But right now, as he's seeing teams for a first time, it's just unique movement, unique profile, and unique characteristics on his fastball that teams are not able to pick up. So the stuff plus numbers for Shota, his splitter, like don't pop off the page. It's like a mid-80s stuff plus, but the pitch has been dominant. It's the sub 200 expected weighted on base average. So like the under in this matchup. I should also mention Randy Vasquez really popping up on the stuff plus leaderboards too. Everything in his arsenal is above average, 111 stuff plus rating. So there's a lot of upside for Randy Vasquez, struggling with command, but I think at some point, he may be the best piece that the Yankees got back in that deal for Soto this offseason. So I like the upside in Randy Vasquez's arm once he eventually refines his command, but on a day-to-day basis, it just gives you a higher floor.
Brendan, I saw that look you gave me when Zerillo mentioned the wind blowing out and the warm temperatures at Wrigley today. No. I wish it were Friday.
Oh, well, it's not. It's Tuesday. It's too bad. It's kind of fun though. We got Shota and I'm blanking on his name. Yamamoto pitching on the
same day. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good. If that keeps going that way throughout the summer, that would be fascinating.
Would love to see them meet up. That would be cool.
Yeah. All right. One more from DeBundo and then a Dinger Tuesday pick.
Yeah, just a daily Cardinals fade at this point. Miles Michaelis, swinging strike rate is down. Strikeout rate is around normal, but his expected indicators are as bad as they've ever been once again. And it's been really like 2 straight years of this. And the Cardinals, we keep talking about this Cardinals team, like the 2022 they put together with their elite defense and the awesome years of Goldschmidt and Arenado. They keep getting priced close to that team with like an 84 win total preseason. They keep, they were favored last night with Kyle Gibson against Sean Manaea. I think the Mets are a better team. I think Buto is better than Michaelis, and I'm getting plus money, so I'll take the Mets on the money line.
Yeah, their player development just sucks now too. Like they used to just bring up hitter after hitter, and they would all rake. Nootbaar when he came up 2 years ago. Now like none of these guys can hit. Jordan Walker's a mess. Gorman's a mess. Like what happened to the Cardinals' elite player development that they had forever? It's just falling apart. Since I was a kid, the Cardinals were always the team you never counted out. You never bet against the Cardinals. You always expected they would bring up some 25-year-old from AAA who was like fully developed or overcooked in the minor leagues, and they would give them contributions. It just doesn't. They ran that Cardinals magic seems to have disappeared the past few years. Through the early part of the 2000s, they had it, but yeah, it seems to be gone now. So the era of Cardinals baseball may be over, and maybe this is a team who's going to go through a lull for a little bit. Hasn't happened in my lifetime.
I wouldn't be shocked if Goldschmidt went at the deadline. Not that he's hitting right now, but
well, as you guys hit on this, I think in the preseason pods, their pitching is old, right?
Yeah.
I wonder.
Sonny's great. That's about it.
Yeah, Sonny's been really good. Like better than he's ever been. But yeah, they tried to sign these arms to just get innings because their pitching was so replacement level last year. They're like, let's at least get Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson and these guys who we view as number 4 or number 5 type starters who are not like full replacement level arms, not throwing the John Gants of the world anymore. But Lance Lynn looks like he's worse, you know.
They were good when they had John Gant. Those were the days.
Yeah.
Back when producer David Payne lived in St. Louis in 2019, 2020,
They could
2021.
actually play defense.
Ever since he left, he just messaged us that he stole the magic from St. Louis. Also, Gene Segura may have broken the Cardinals. They haven't been the same since. Anyway, Dinger Tuesday. Josh Naylor, plus 420 for the Guardians. He's hitting more fly balls this year. And they have tried as a team to pull more fly balls. It's been a thing they've been working on since the spring to try to get more power after they were a bottom 2 offense by ISO last year. I think they were last. It was either them or Washington. But he faces Kenta Maeda. So the increased fly ball rate for Naylor is one thing that I've been kind of keying in on for Dinger Tuesday this year. And Maeda's fastball is so bad that he's giving up more homers now. And so Naylor's always been good against off speed. Maeda throws a lot of junk. He's going to give up homers. I'm going to take Naylor at plus 420. And the rest of the column will be up later. We've been on a little bit of a heater here. We've hit 2 last week. So hopefully we can keep the streak going of hitting at least 1 every week.
All right. There you go.
Naylor swings hard. I don't know if anybody swings as hard as consistently as Naylor. Dude looks like he's trying to hit the ball to Mars every time he swings. So
hopefully he gets one to at least we'll go the moon tonight.
But Josh Naylor specifically, right? Not Bo.
Yeah, but I keep waiting on the Bo breakout, but it doesn't seem to want to come. He's got pretty mediocre numbers. He's OPS like 580.
Josh Naylor still has a dark spot in my personal life, because when I went to my first job out of college was to do the Batavia Muck Dogs, the short A club,
sure,
Marlins short season affiliate, and Naylor was the first round pick, and he never came. It's not his fault. He was too good. He went to Double A, but I was hoping to see Josh Naylor.
That was my favorite minor league logo as a kid. I had a Muck Dogs hat. I would wear it around all the time. Love the Batavia Muck Dogs. Shout out upstate New York.
Yeah, good old Dwyer Stadium. But never saw Josh Naylor. He was too good. He was too good for Batavia. So I mean, he dodged a bullet there. I mean,
is too good for Batavia like the perfect podcast title or what? I mean, come on.
If there was still there, it would be a great Marlins like minor league podcast. Too good for Batavia. But anyway, sorry, felt like mentioning that because Josh Naylor's had himself. I mean, I've seen him come through, and Cleveland plays Boston. I'm like, oh, okay, there's Josh Naylor. There he is. He's making a name for himself. So
he's finally getting full playing time this year, and it looks like he's gonna have a breakout. So I'm happy for him. Age 26, he's still, I know this guy's been in the big league since 2019. It's kind of crazy. He's only 26, but yeah, right? He's finally getting a full breakout.
Wow. All right. He homered 26. On Sunday against the Angels,
and he homered on Tuesday against the Tigers. I'm foretelling.
Got it. Well, he did homer last Tuesday against the Astros.
There we go. Oh, that was the Hunter Brown disaster class continues.
That was which one?
All of them.
Yeah, he hit a 3-run homer in the first inning. Josh Naylor.
It's funny. I looked it back yesterday so I wrote the preseason column, like 10 pitchers I'm looking to bet on. And I've got some big hits there. I mean, like Jared Jones, Manaya's been good. Monaga was in there. There's been a lot of wins. And then at the bottom of the list, Hunter Brown. Not quite.
Can't win them all. Still think he's tipping pitches to a degree.
All right. Don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app. If you haven't done so already, you can find DeBundo and Zerillo with their picks there and anything they may add today. And until our next podcast, which is Friday. DeBundo, we won't give it away, but we've got some things to discuss with DeBundo on Friday.
Sounds so ominous.
Yeah, well, and the Cubs aren't at home. That's not what I'm getting at, but we'll discuss.
Yes.
Also, don't forget to check out the Action Network Discord channel. If you haven't done so already, there is a link to the channel in our episode description. Sean Kerner's been giving out K-props there. DeBundo chimes in from time to time. It's a nice little way to extend your baseball betting, any sport, your community there. So check that out. For Sean Zerillo, Anthony DeBundo, Brendan Glasheen, thanks for listening to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast presented by BetMGM. Best of luck on this Tuesday. We are back at the end of the week for another episode. Thanks for listening.